I need your help because this is my last book haul of the year. Next one is going to be solely books that you wanted me to read because they were your favorites of 2024. I did that last year. It was really fun because then I ended up doing early January a reading vlog, reading as many of them as I could. And I did find my first 5-star of the year, which was my first book of the year. It was a lot of fun, so I wanted to do that again. So leave me in the comment section all of your best books of 2024, and I will be picking up the ones I can find either at used bookstore or the ones that sound really appealing to me. I'll try to order them. Yes, Claudia, thank you. And I might pick up a few more when I'm used book shopping because how could I resist? I do have a good pile from the last month, and most of these are from the used bookstore, except the first one. I wanted to say thank you. This was on my Amazon wish list, and I can't say thank you because they misprinted. I think your name is Lila Bean? So thank you, but I can't read your message, unfortunately, but I've been really dying to read this book. I believe this is a Salon. It's an adult fantasy, and the spear cuts through water. I have been seeing this one going around more and more. I think it came out in 2022, and I kept seeing it next to, like readers also liked, and they kept naming some of my all-time favorite books, like the sort of Kaijin, the Tainted Cup, the Will of the Many. Those ones have been really popular lately. So I have been thinking about picking it up, and a lot of you also told me in the comment section that you actually like this one. So I will be able to read this. I think next year I will be reading a lot more fantasy. I'm feeling the need to go back to it. I'm going to be doing my challenge where I read fantasy series, but a standalone would be nice. It looks deceptively short, but it's like 500 pages. I believe this one you're following an emperor who is mistreating the whole land. They're using magical powers from a god that they're keeping under the palace to do all of that. And then the main characters are trying to help the god escape. So we'll see. The reviews have been positive. I'm really excited for it. And like I said, I'm so dying to go back to fantasy. So this sounds like that should be right up my alley. The next ones, you might have noticed the red pages, but this book, I've been seeing it going around more and more, and it is Assistant to the Villain. Listen, I think this might be a little bit more hit and miss. I've seen it on list of like Book Talk Made Me Do It kind of thing, or this was a nominee, or was it the winner last year for the Romantasy category on the Goodreads Choice Award. Booktube is actually nominated for this year. Like, it's been getting some hype. I am curious, and sometimes I want something a little less serious whenever I'm feeling a reading slump, which I'm kind of feeling the slump right now. But I have some good plans for my reading vlog to try and save myself. But I tend to prefer stories where you're following supervillains over superheroes. Do you even care about the movies? I feel like they're all the same. But this one main character is needing a job desperately, and she finds one working for a supervillain, which I feel like I've read out of the book with that exact premise. People seem to be divided, either absolutely love it or hate it, but again, humor can be like that in general. So I'm curious. I don't know if it's going to be a little spicy or not, because I think she's going to fall for the villain, which either way, I got it. I saw it. I got excited, decided to grab it, and the red pages, not gonna lie, it does help. So whenever I'm feeling a bit in a slump, I'll have something to make a quick decision on it. Either I will love it, binge read it, or I will just unhaul it. We'll see. But like, the stakes are low when you buy it used. Next, I did become a very brave person and decided to try the mystery thriller horror section. I tend to avoid it because I get so overwhelmed and I don't recognize authors, but most of these are authors I've tried before, so that helped. Also, the first one, I forgot I bought it, but I'm really excited for it because it's a new release. How could it be there? Listen for the Lie. So this one, you're following these two girls who were super beloved in their small town, and one day one of them is murdered and the other one is found covered in blood. So everyone thinks she did it. She thinks she might have done it because she doesn't remember the night. And later on, I think someone is trying to figure out what happened through the podcast. Everyone seems to be obsessed with crime podcasts, but I feel like I prefer them in my book. So we'll see how this one goes. The reviews have been really, really positive, and I'm hoping I'm going to also love it. So I've been trying to keep up a little bit with the new releases, but 2024 was not a great year, at least the ones I did end up reading, but hopefully this one will change my mind about that year, because so far, wasn't the best reading year. So like I was saying, the other ones are all authors I have tried before. The first one is actually part of a series. The first book I ended up reading was the Macpie Murders. I did end up listening to that one as an audiobook, which I recommend if you like the accent, and it feels almost cozy murder mystery. But I ended up DNFing. Like, I didn't finish book 2, not because it wasn't good, because it is. It's just because the format is a bit too complicated for me as an audiobook, because you start with the story and then you get to a book that is read, the whole book, and then you finish, you go back in the real world. And it got too confusing for me. I just needed more brain power than I had at the time. That's why I put it down, and I have a physical book now, so I can attempt it again. I feel like my brain is doing better overall. So we'll see, but I did really enjoy the first one and I wanted to try more. Basically, there are like a murder happening in real life, and then it seems to be related to a book from a popular detective, which is Atticus Hunt, something like that. And it's the editor that is trying to figure out what's going on because she's seeing those two situations at the same time. And this one is set, I believe, on a Greek island. Yeah. But it just happens again. So she's forced to once again try and solve a murder mystery through remembering this famous book. So I'm excited to give it a shot now that I have the physical copy and a few more brain cells. Next, there were a few more books by the author on the shelves, but the only one that was the first book in a series that I hadn't tried was this one. This is The Word is Murder. And this one, the premise is the mother of a famous actor goes to plan her funeral, and then a few hours later, she is found dead. So did she plan her actual death, literally? So I'm curious. Like I said, I want to try more by him. I believe this is a longer series. There's like a couple books that are out. So if I enjoy it, I will be able to continue. We'll see how that goes. If I've enjoyed one book by the author, chances are I will like more. Speaking of which, one more murder mystery. This is The Mysterious Case of the Alperton Angels. This one is also a crime podcast, is it? Yeah. This is also true crime inspired because the main character is trying to write a book about a certain situation that happened with a cult. Basically, they all unalive themselves, and there should be like a mother and a kid that is somewhere that disappeared. So she's trying to write about that case, and she decides to try and solve it too, because then she would be even more successful. And you found that story. I did really enjoy the other book by the author, especially because the format was really different. It was based on like all emails and text messages, and you had to figure out what happened. And in this one, it seems to be, again, a unique format. This one seems to be like WhatsApp messages and like emails also. So I wanted to try it again to see if that's something I want to try. I think all of her books are written like that. I think one of them is like all conversations, all like recordings. So maybe audiobook would be good for that. But yeah, I found that one. So I decided to grab it. I recognize the author. The next one is To Shame Myself. Not really, but like I have been meaning to continue this series. And again, since it is going to be one of my challenges next year, I decided I had to. Assassin of Reality. This is book 2 after this other book. I can't remember the title right now. This was one of the weirdest book I have ever read, but not in a bad way. You know, sometimes it can be a bad way. No, this one was weird, but you can't put it down. It is Dark Academia, magical school. The main character has to go against her will into this magical school and try to survive. And things get so weird, but again, I had to continue. And this one, I think, is more of a companion novel. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this one is kind of short. I don't think it's going to be a quick read, though, but it's like 240 pages, so I might as well give it a shot. I've been meaning to, and I have yet to do it, so when I found it, I was like, this is it. I have to. So I have no more excuses. I need to continue and figure out what else these authors can come up with, because this was weird. But like there were a few like time loops moments, which I love that trope. It was just, if you enjoy someone learning magic, but like magic is actually complicated, this was it. And like she gets there, and like people in like second year are so weird, and she's scared of what she's going to go through to become like that. Like it's so good. Anyway, I also decided to be brave and try different genres. The first one is historical fiction, and this one did stand out because again, it's fine. I mean, it gets overwhelming whenever you use book shopping. So the books that do stand out tend to attract my eye a little bit more. This is Year of Wonders. This did win the Pulitzer Prize, which I do want to try to read more books that won some awards. I think it might be easier to get out of my comfort zone whenever they are popular. It's always going to be hit and miss, but I believe this one is inspired by the bubonic plague. So someone brings is it a blanket? A cloth that carries the plague from London to that small village, and you're seeing the consequences. I think the main character is going to be accused of being a witch or something. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go. It's not too big. It's like 300 pages. Yeah, so I feel like that's not a bad way for me to try to read more historical fiction. It's not my main genre, but I am curious, and sometimes they do work for me. The next one is kind of a classic, I guess, kinda. This is Letters from Kafka, which I read my first Kafka this year. I ended up liking it so much more than I expected, and this is letters between him and Milena, basically the woman he was in love with. She was hired to translate some of his work into, I think, Czech? Yeah. And they started, falling in love through those letters, and the relationship didn't last super long, I think like 2 years, and he died. really quickly afterwards, but she lived longer. She actually lived until World War II, where she was so tragic story, real life story. And I believe this one contains a lot of longing, which I've been saying how romance tends to be not my favorite, just because it's often like insta love, or like even in movies, like it's like graphic instantly. It's like I didn't have time to start enjoying myself, which is why I used to watch more like K-dramas, because again, you get the longing, which like this is what I want. Like Pride and Prejudice, this is what we want. So I thought maybe real life longing could be interesting, and because I had enjoyed his writing, I thought might as well try something else. And I saw this one, Red Spine, guilty, and I decided to try it. So I'll have this one. The next one, I decided to take the risk because I do like to try and read and find more books that are similar to some of my all-time favorite books, because I want to try to find anything that will be similar. Same thing with TV shows. I feel like people will tell you, like I was trying to find at one point things that would be similar to Fleabag, the TV show, which is like, it's a tough recommendation, but like if you know, you know. It's just amazing. But like the relationship between the sisters is my favorite part. I feel like everyone is crazy about the priest. Me, it's the sisters. And I have seen a few people mention that this was similar to I Who Have Never Known Men, which was my best book of 2022. I have been raving about it ever since. And it's now so popular. Like it has gained like 100,000 ratings on Goodreads in the last 2 years. It's absolutely insane. It deserves all the hype. If you haven't read it, you need to. But I've been seeing more and more people try to find things that are similar, and usually more miss than hit, but I want to. So I decided to take the risk. And I grabbed this one. This is Everything You Ever Wanted. So the main character feels like life is kind of boring and like pointless. She gets up, goes to work, and scrolls on the internet. And then she gets the opportunity to be sent on a different planet, starting over. And the only thing is she can't come back no matter what. So I don't know if it's going to be similar, because the other one is not really, really sci-fi. It's more like not even dystopian, just like, we'll see if I agree or not, because I feel like everyone got something different out of I've Never Known Men, like different ideas of what the topic is about, what the meaning of the book is. So we'll see. But I feel like every book that I tried that was similar to other things have been the same way. Like everything used to be compared to like The Hunger Games or Harry Potter. But I get sucked in every time. It works. Marketing wise, it works. I did it. So those are all the books that I ended up purchasing in the last month. As you can tell, I was still feeling the fall moods with all the murder mysteries, but I think the ones I'm the most excited about are this fantasy, obviously, because again, I'm feeling like I'm back into the mood for them. And then this one, Listen for the Lie. I'm hoping that this one is going to work for me and we can figure out what happened to her friend. So top 2 for the month. Hey, sweet pea. Okay. Oh. Can you say bye, Claudia? Thank you everyone for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe for the beast. I will be putting more videos on the screen that I recommend you check out, including I've been doing this series where I go back and find my #1 best book of the past years. And I will see you in my next video. And don't forget, comment section your favorite books, because the next book haul is yours.